Video is a review on how to solve equations. So we're going to start with just combining the like terms. We're not actually solving anything, just combining the pieces that go together. So in this problem, we can combine the negative 17b and the minus 23b because they both share the same letter b. When you combine negative 17 and the minus 23, we end up with negative 40. And we keep that b value the same. Now, we can also combine the plus 1a, it's not written there, but it's a 1, and the plus 24a. 1 plus 24 gives us 25a. The minus 10 is by itself. There's no other regular numbers, and so the minus 10 stays the same. Again, we're only focusing on combining like terms. So we can combine the 8.9w with the minus 11.2w because they share the same letter. 8.9 minus 11.2 gives us a negative 2.3w. We can also combine the 6.2, the minus 12, and the minus 6.2 because none of them have a variable. All of them are just numbers. And so we can do 6.2 minus 12 minus 6.2, which gives us an answer of negative 12. For number 3, still working on combining like terms. All of these have the variable p, and so we can combine the 1 3/8, the 5/8, and the minus 1/8 because they all share the same letter. Now, when you combine your like terms, you can use a calculator to help you. So 1 3/8 plus 5/8 minus the 1/8 is going to give us a total of 1 7/8. And keep the variable p at the end. If you wanted, you could also write it as 15 over 8p. That would be the same answer, just as an improper fraction instead of a mixed number. For number 4, we're still working on combining like terms. It says Michelle simplified an expression for the perimeter of the rectangle below and got 5 over 6x plus 35. Explain her error and include the correct expression for the perimeter. So the word provides. So if we look at our rectangle here, if the top section is 5 over 6x plus 23, then the bottom section is also 5 over 6x plus 23. If the right-hand side is 12. So when we come to add all of our equations, we're going to add up the top section, 5 over 6x plus 23, and we're going to do the bottom section, 5 over 6x plus 23. We're going to include the left side, 12, and we're going to include the right side, 12. Then you can go through and combine your variables that match. The 5 over 6x plus the 5 over 6x. 5 over 6 and 5 over 6 combined together to give us 1 2/3, 10 over 6, which does simplify down into 3. Five plus 5 would have given us 10. The 6 was our answer, but we can simplify that into 5 over 3. We combine the whole numbers, the ones without the variable, 23, 23, 12, and 12. When you combine all of those 4 values, you get a total of 70. Michelle's answer should be 5 over 3x plus not 5 over 6x plus 35. She only added the 2 areas, not all 4 sides. Now we're going to move over in skill and we're going to add in the distributive property. The distributive property is parentheses and it means that we're going to be multiplying. So when we multiply, the 15 is going to stay the same because it's not part of the parentheses. And we're going to multiply by this negative or this minus 8. So the minus 8 times 3 would get us a minus 24 and leave the variable x with it. The minus 8 times the minus 7, 2 minuses or 2 negatives would give us a positive, so a positive 56. And then the plus x stays at the back. Once you've distributed it, then you can do what we just did for numbers 1 through 4 and combine your like terms. I'm going to combine the minus 24x and the plus 1x. Minus 24 plus 1 gives us a minus 23x. We can also combine the whole numbers, the 15 plus the 56, to give us a total of 71. For number 6, again, we're going to start with the distributive property and we're going to multiply. So we're going to multiply both parts of our parentheses. The negative 4/3 times the 15 is going to give us a negative 20, and make sure you keep the variable x with it. We multiply the negative 4/3 again by the number 30, and we get an answer of negative 40. The plus 5 stays at the back because it's not part of the parentheses. Remember, you can use a calculator to help you with these. Now, the minus 20x is going to stay the same because there are no other x values in the problem. We can combine the minus 40 and the plus 5. Minus 40 and plus 5 combine together to give us a minus 35. Remember, we're going to start with the distributive property. We're going to multiply first. So that negative 12 will stay out in front because there's no parentheses there. We start by multiplying the 0.6 by 50, our first value, which gives us 30. And we also multiply the 0.6 by the negative 11, or the minus 11. When you multiply 0.6 by the minus 11, you end up with a negative 10.4. Make sure you keep the x value with that problem. The plus 2.6x can stay at the back because it's not part of the parentheses. Our last step is to combine our like terms. We can combine the whole numbers, the negative 12 and the plus 30. Negative 12 plus 30 is going to give us a positive 18. We can also combine the x values, the negative 10.4x plus the 2.6x. And we end up with an answer of negative 7.8x. Keep that x variable with your problem. Moving on to a new skill, we're going to be solving equations this time. When you solve equations, your goal is to get your final answer of x equals and then a number. So we're going to solve it all the way through. Now, number 9 doesn't actually ask us to solve the problem, it just asks us for the first step. It says, which is the correct first step in solving the equation shown? So when you have an equation, that's where we draw our line down the equal sign and we work backwards. We do the opposite. So instead of the plus 33, we would do the opposite. We would do a minus 33. And so letter A would be our correct answer. Subtract 33 from both sides. For number 10, again, we're solving the equation. So that means we want our final answer to be x equals and then the value. So start by drawing your line down your equal sign. We split the two sides in half. The first piece that we're going to move is the piece without the variable. So you can see that 17 does not have the letter x and 1/9 does. So we're going to move the 17. Instead of 17, we do the opposite. We do a minus 17. 10 minus 17 gives us a negative 7 for our answer. However, we're not finished. We have to keep the minus 1/9 x. We did not use that piece of the problem, so that part is still in the equation. Now, our last step is to take our value and divide. The 1/9 and the x written side by side like that means multiply. So again, we do the opposite value, we divide. -7 divided by the -1/9. And we end up with a positive 63, which would be our final answer. For number 11, we're still solving the equations, so we want our answer to be written as x equals and our value. We're going back to problem number 9, which was our first step problem, where we took the plus 33 and we did the opposite. We do a minus 33. When you subtract 30 minus 33, you end up with a -3 for your answer. However, we still have the other part of the problem, x over -3.5, that we still have to solve. Now, when we have this fraction problem, x divided by -3.5, we want to do the opposite. So instead of dividing by 3.5, we're going to multiply by 3.5. So we're going to multiply the -3 times the -3.5, and we get a final answer of positive 10.5. For number 12, we're still solving the equation, so we're going to end up with x equals and a value for our answer. Draw your line down your equal sign to separate your sides, and start with the piece that's not the variable. So we're going to start with our plus 13. We do the opposite. We do the minus 13. 1 minus 13 is going to give us a -12. The 4.8x stays the same because we did not use that part of the problem yet. The 4.8 and the x side by side means multiply, so we do the opposite, we divide. -12 divided by the 4.8 gives us an answer of -2.5. For number 13, it asks which of the following shows the equation below after it has been simplified. So we're going to combine those like terms because there's no parentheses, so there's no multiplying, but we can combine the terms that go together. So we can combine the 9x plus this 1x. 9 plus 1 would give us a total of 10. We can also combine the -2 and the plus 16 because those don't have the x variable. -2 plus 16 gives us a total of 14. And so our answer is letter A, the 10x combined together and the 14 combined together for our answers. Now, for these problems, these multi-step problems, we are solving them, so we do want our final answer to have x equals, but there's no parentheses yet, so we're not going to multiply, we're just going to combine the like terms. You can go ahead and draw your line down your equal sign and combine your like terms together. So we can combine the plus 1w with the minus 2/3 w. Using our calculator to help us, 1 minus 2/3 gives us 1/3. Keep the w with the problem. We can also combine the whole numbers, the -4 and the plus 17. -4 plus 17 gives us a positive 13. Once you've combined your like terms together, then we can go ahead and solve the problem. Remember, we move the piece that does not have the variable. 13 becomes a minus 13 because we do the opposite. Instead of plus, we do minus. 16 minus 13 gives us 3. The 1/3 w stays the same because we did not use that part of the problem yet. Our last step is to divide. The 1/3 and the w written side by side means multiply. We do the opposite, we divide. 3 divided by the 1/3 gives us 9. So our answer is w equals 9. For number 15, go ahead and draw your line down your equal sign, and we're going to start by combining our like terms. So we're going to combine our c variables together, the -12 and the plus 7.5. -12 plus 7.5 gives us a total of -4.5, 4.5, and don't leave off the c variable. We can also combine the whole numbers, the -4 and the -11, because they don't have the c variable. Putting -4 and -11 together gives us a -15, and our -6 stays the same on the other side. When it comes to solving the equation, we start with the -15 and we do the opposite. We do a +15. -6 plus 15 gives us an answer of +9. The -4.5c stays the same because we did not use that part of the problem yet. Our last step is to divide. The 4.5 and the c written side by side means multiply. So we do the opposite, we divide. We can divide the 9 by the -4.5 to get an answer of -2. For number 16, it says the value of the perimeter of the rectangle shown is 36 inches. Write and solve an equation to find the value of x. So remember, perimeter means that we're going to add all the sides. So again, if our bottom section is 4x minus 6, that means that our top section is the same, 4x minus 6. If the right-hand side is 12, it means that the left-hand side is 12. We can combine all of those together, 4x minus 6 for the top. We're going to add the bottom, 4x minus 6. We're going to add the left, 12. We're going to add the right, 12. And the problem tells us that our total is 36. So we can put equals 36 at the end. Now we go into combining our like terms. Combine the 4x plus 4x because they share the same letter. 4 plus 4 gives us 8. We can also combine our whole numbers, the -6, the -6, the +12, and the +12. Combining -6, -6, 12, and 12 gets us an answer of 12. And the equals 36 does stay the same as our answer. So that's our first problem, is our equation is going to be the 8x plus the 12 equals 36. That is our simplified problem. Now, it wants us to solve the entire thing to get an x equals value. So instead of plus 12, we do the opposite. We do a minus 12. 36 minus 12 gets us 24, and the 8x does stay the same because we did not use that part yet. 8 and x side by side means multiply, so we would do the opposite. We would divide. 24 divided by 8 would give us an answer of 3. X equals 3. Number 17, match each equation on the left with its simplified version from the choices on the right. We're not actually going to solve the problem, and not all of the answers will be used. So for the first one with our parentheses, parentheses means multiply. So we would multiply the -2 times 3. -2 times 3 would give us -6. Keep the x variable with it. We would also multiply the -2 times the -10. -2 and -10, two negatives, make a +20. And then the equals 15 would stay the same at the back. -6 plus 20 equals 15 is represented by the letter E equation. For the next problem, we have the 1/5 outside the parentheses. So we would multiply the 1/5 times the 30. 1/5 times 30 is 6. Keep the x variable with it. We also multiply the 1/5 times the -10, which would give us a -2. 6x minus 2 equals 15 is represented by letter B as our simplified problem. For the next problem, we have 3 times 2, which is 6. Keep the x value with it. We also do 3 times the -10 to give us -30 equals 15. 6x minus 30 equals 15 is represented by letter D. And the last one, we have a -1/5 times the 30 value inside the parentheses. which would give us a negative 6. Keep the x value with it. We also multiply the negative 1/5 by the negative or the minus 10, which would give us a positive 2. Two negatives or two minuses make a positive. Negative 6x plus 2 equals 15 is represented by letter A on the side. So now we're working towards putting all of the skills that we've learned so far together. So we're actually going to solve the problem. So we want an answer with an x equals and a number. But this time we have parentheses. So we start with the parentheses. The negative 4x stays out in front because that is not parentheses. The 6 times the 4 would give us a positive 24x. The 6 times the minus 3 would give us a minus 18. And the equals negative 8 stays at the back. We can draw our line down our equal sign, and we can combine our like terms. We can combine the minus 4x and the plus 24x because they share the same variable. The negative 4 plus 24 gives us an answer of 20. The minus 18 stays the same because there are no other whole numbers, and we can keep it with the minus 8 on the outside. Once we've combined like terms, we can go ahead and solve our equation. Instead of minus 18, we do the opposite. We do a plus 18. Negative 8 plus 18 gives us an answer of 10. The 20x stays the same because we did not use that part of the equation yet. Our last step is to divide because the 20 and the x side by side means multiply. We do the opposite, we divide. 10 divided by 20 would give an answer of 1/2, or you could say 0.5. For number 19, we start with our parentheses and we're going to multiply. So we multiply the negative 3/8 and the x. Because there's no value with the x, we can just put the values together. Negative 3/8 and x. We do multiply the negative 3/8 times the minus 24, which would give us a positive 9. Two negatives make a positive. The plus x does stay the same at the back, and the equals 19 stays the same at the end. We did not use those numbers in the parentheses. Our next step is to combine any like terms. We can combine the negative 3/8x plus, we know that that is a 1x. So negative 3/8 plus 1 would give us an answer of 5/8. Keep the x value with the new fraction. The plus 9 can stay the same as there's no other whole numbers, and the 19 stays as the answer. Our next step is to do the opposite. Instead of plus 9, we do the opposite. We do a minus 9. 19 minus 9 is 10. The 5/8x stays the same as we did not use that part of the problem yet. Our last step is to divide because the 5/8 and the x side by side means multiply. So we do the opposite, we divide. 10 divided by 5/8 gives us an answer of 16. For number 20, we're going to start by multiplying our parentheses. So we're going to multiply the negative 0.2 times the 25x, which gets us an answer of negative 5x. We're also going to multiply the negative 0.2 times the 5, which gets us an answer of negative 1. The minus 5 will stay at the back of the problem, and the equals 4 stays at the end. Our next step is to combine our like terms. We can combine the minus 1 and the minus 5 as they do not share a common variable. Minus 1 and minus 5 combine together to give us a minus 6. The negative 5x does stay out in front because we did not use that piece. The equals 4 stays at the back because we did not use that piece either. Our next step is to do the opposite. So instead of the minus 6, we combine and do a plus 6. 4 plus 6 would give us an answer of 10. The negative 5x stays the same for now because we did not use that piece yet. And our last step is to divide. The negative 5 and the x side by side means multiply. We do the opposite, we divide. 10 divided by negative 5 gives us negative 2. For number 21, it says the area of the parallelogram is shown is 9 square inches. Set up and solve an equation to find the value of x. So remember, area is length times width. So we're going to multiply the 3 by the 1/9 x minus 2. Notice how I wrote my problem in parentheses. Parentheses means multiply, and we're multiplying the length and the width. Our equals 9 comes from our problem where it tells us the area is 9. So we can go ahead and solve our equation. We multiply our parentheses. So we're going to multiply the 3 times the 1/9, which gets us an answer of 1/3 x. We also multiply the 3 times the minus 2, which gets us a minus 6. This would be our equation. The 1/3 x minus 6 equals 9. That's our simplified part. Then we go on to actually solve it. Instead of minus 6, we do the opposite. We do plus 6. 9 plus 6 gives us 15. The 1/3 x stays the same for now because we did not use that piece yet. And our last step is to divide. The 1/3 and the x side by side means multiply. We do the opposite, we divide. 15 divided by 1/3 gives us an answer of 45. So our solution is x equals 45.